But I want to bring into this, what does the research say? Not what does Southwestern say, what does your RA say, what do the faculty here at Southwestern say, but what does the scientific research say about pornography? This isn't just a church thing where we're kind of condemning your sexuality and asking you to rein everything back, okay? Secular universities and secular researchers have come up with very similar findings that we already know are in Scripture. And I love it when science validates Scripture. It's very interesting. So let's take a look at what research says. The Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy published an article entitled Romantic Partners, Use of Pornography, Its Significance for Women in Particular. And Bridges, Bergner, and Henson and McInnes found some very, very interesting findings. And these aren't, necessarily evangelical researchers. This came out of the Illinois State University. Okay, this is a secular college that discovered this. And I want to go ahead and just read it right out of the article that was published. The effects of cybersex involvement on the woman. Participants reported feelings of betrayal. Whenever they found out that their partner was viewing pornography, they felt betrayed. They used words like devastation, hurt, mistrust, diminished self-esteem, especially feelings of unattractiveness and personal inadequacy. They reported feelings of fear, anger, and degradation. Many reported a decrease in sexual intimacy with their partner, particularly resulting from feelings that they were being objectified in a sexual act, or that their partners were no longer emotionally involved in lovemaking. Another commonly reported feeling was that women were unable to compete with the young, attractive models displayed in their partner's pornography, a perception that led them to feel confused, to question their physical desirability, and to reduce their feelings of intimacy. I can remember hearing similar reports from male clients that I have had in my office whose wife is engaged in the use of pornography. It's really kind of hard to compete with those images. Okay? And I'm sure the ladies can validate that. I mean, whenever you're watching TV and everyone is a size -2, and the average size of a woman in the United States is a 10, 12 to 14, it's really kind of hard to compete with that. Well, a lot of guys report feeling similar symptoms of undesirability and competitiveness whenever they find out what their partner is looking at and reading about. The Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology published an article in 2012. It was entitled A Love That Doesn't Last: Pornography Consumption and Weakened Commitment to One's Partner. This came out of Florida State University, Southern Utah University, and the University of Tennessee. So again, these aren't Christian universities. These are secular universities that are coming up with the same thing the Scripture has always told us about. They had this hypothesis, and it was supported in the fact that pornography consumption predicted greater infidelity. And in this study, they actually did 5 sub-studies in this one research project. In study 1, they found that pornography consumption was related to lower reported commitment. So the more a person uses pornography, the less committed they are to the person that they have in their relationship. In study 2, participants who consumed pornography behaved in a manner that indicated a low degree of commitment to a partner in a way that was readily apparent to independent observers. So they actually had a third party that would come in and observe people who looked at pornography and had a steady diet of pornography, and they would just observe them. They would watched them around campus. And what they discovered is individuals that consume pornography actually flirt more often. Their behavior is inconsistent with a level of commitment to their partner. In study 3, the results indicated that participants who refrained from pornography reported higher levels of commitment than participants who continued to use pornography, indicating that pornography consumption has a negative effect on commitment. So if you're in a relationship with either a man or a woman, and your partner is using pornography, whether it's objectifying pornography or erotica, your partner is less likely to be committed to you in that relationship. Now, if you're engaged in a relationship with your partner and they don't consume pornography, research suggests that they are far more committed to you than anyone else, and that your relationship is going to be more solid and healthy. In the 4th study that they did, they noticed again that individuals who self-reported pornography use would predict attention to alternatives as measured by flirting. So here again, the 4th study validated another study. Pornography consumption was related to higher extradidactic behavior. In other words, if your man uses porn, he's probably flirting with another girl. And if your girl is using porn, she's probably flirting with another guy. Study 5 found that pornography consumption corresponded to decreased commitment, which in turn related to higher levels of infidelity. So the use of porn generally pushes people toward infidelity. Now, how many of us want to get married, spend all that money, and then get a divorce? Oh, no? Who you're dating now could be the person you marry later. So keep that in mind, and we'll talk about that in more detail in just a few minutes. The International Business Times published an article in 2013. And what they did in this particular article, it was entitled, "Students Analyzed Pornography as Guidance for Respectful Relationships Behavior." And what they were looking at is, how does pornography affect how we treat each other in relationships? And the article went on to say, sexualized imagery and exposure to pornography is shaping young people's sexual expectations and practices in a range of sexual health areas, such as body image. You like what you see in the mirror. Most people don't. And a lot of that is because of pornography. A sense of self, who you are. Do you like who you are? The use of pornography negatively affects how you feel about yourself, how you view yourself, as well as safe-sex practices. Pornography has become the main sex educator for many young people, driven by increased accessibility to pornographic images and videos online. Pornography was often aggressive and does not reflect the kind of sex that many people, particularly women, want to enjoy. So what we're finding is that young people, the study particularly looked at 13 to 16-year-olds. They were getting their sex education from online expressions of pornography. And what they were learning is that aggressive, angry, violent sexual behavior is normal. The study also revealed that more than 90% of 13 to 16-year-olds and 60% of girls the same age were already accessing pornography online. Young people were not just watching it, though. They were using it as a sexual primer, teaching them about what to expect from their sexual relationships. What that means will probably shock you. It means that they're learning rough, sexist, brutal sex is not only normal, but expected. That's secular research. The American Journal of Family Therapy published an article in 2012, Structural Therapy with a Couple Battling Pornography Addiction. And I'm not going to go into all the details of that article, but I do want to pull out just a couple of statements that they made as they were doing their research with couples. When a third party is triangled into a romantic relationship, it can create an imbalance. For example, pornography can be triangled into a marriage and the strength of the couple's subsystem is diminished. Pornography creates a coalition against the partner who is not addicted. So what happens is the individual who is viewing pornography, whether it's the wife or the husband, has brought in a third party into the relationship. And if it's the man who's using pornography, he in essence has brought a third person into the bedroom. If it's the woman using erotica, chat rooms, romantic novels, in human sexuality we talk about the harlequin. Sometimes I'll read an excerpt out of the harlequin, which is in essence narrative pornography. Women eat that stuff up. But if you bring that, ladies, into your relationship or into your marriage, you have brought a third party into your bedroom. And it's going to begin to deconstruct the relationship that you have with your husband or your wife. Pornography acts as the third member in the couple's sexually exclusive relationship. So again, secular research. In the Psychi Journal of Undergraduate Research, Butler, Holm, and Ferraro published an article that incorporated several other researchers, but this was out of the University of North Dakota. And they looked at the negative effects or negative influences of pornography in relationships. And what they found was, when they examined 304 scenes from popular explicit adult videos, the results indicated that 88% of those scenes contained physical aggression. The most common forms of aggression were spanking, gagging, and slapping. 49% of the scenes contained verbal aggression, name-calling. The link between pornography use and participants' aggressive attitudes and actions were found. Now, if you've got someone, male or female, who's ingesting this stuff on a regular basis, okay, and they're forming a paradigm of what sex is supposed to be like. When you get married, you're marrying someone, and this is going to sound harsh, that wants to rape you. Ladies, how many of you, and please don't answer this, it's a rhetorical question. If the answer is yes, see me after the session and we'll talk. How many of you want your significant other to slap you? How many of you want him to gag you or verbally abuse you? The majority of the people in here are going to say no, if not everyone's going to say no. And after yesterday's workshop, we kind of see the effects of that kind of behavior. Okay? But this is the message that pornography puts out. This is normal. This is okay. This is what a woman wants. Researchers found an increase in sexual aggressive attitudes and behaviors followed pornography exposure. The more violent the pornography, the more negative attitudes the participants exhibited. The more pornography individuals reported viewing, the higher their sexual aggression levels were. After degrading pornography exposure, men reported beliefs that sex with women creates masculine domination and female submission. There was a link that was found between pornography and aggressive behavior through questionnaires completed by women from interpersonal violence shelters. Those are battered women's shelters. And their results indicated that their results indicated that the degree of controlling behavior demonstrated by the batterer correlated positively with the amount of pornography use.